I feel very fortunate to be living in Southern California. I know a lot of people leave California for all the right reasons. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, we have crazy traffic, but there are many benefits to California. One of the benefits is I've been working closely with Gary Polson for many years. So I was very lucky as a rookie owner that I'd have Gary coming into my office often. And I remember him saying 20 plus years ago, this is interesting. He says, I've got this formula for entrepreneurial success. And he says, entrepreneurial success. Can't really say this about success in general, but I can say this about entrepreneurial success, business success, equals character, great character, plus skills, plus perseverance. You put those three things together, and that's the makeup. Those are the characteristics, really, of entrepreneurial success. And he says, isn't it interesting that we'll beat ourselves up over the skills portion? Oh, I'm not good at interviewing, or I'm not good at selling. Like, we get down on ourselves about skills, when in reality, if you do the skill enough times, he says skills are like magic tricks. You do it thousands of times over, eventually it becomes automatic. Think of a great magician, like, oh, how did you do that? Well, they did it 1,000+ times. I mean, that's why it's just so brilliant. I bought a magic trick one time in Las Vegas. They had a street performer. I'm like, well, how'd you do that? Well, pay me $50. I'll give you a little kit. I buy the kit. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do this at the office and show all my guys my magic tricks. I'm doing it, and they all knew exactly what I was doing. Like, Jamie, those rings are together. They're not really separate. I'm like, oh, I guess I got to do this 1,000+ times, don't I? He says, if you want to beat yourself up over anything, it's your character. Like, get tough on yourself when it comes to character, but give yourself some grace. Be patient when it comes to the skills. So in this episode, we're going to just do a quick dive in those three categories to equal entrepreneurial success. Let's start with the skills portion, shall we? The magic tricks, as Gary likes to say. So what exactly are the skills that we have to learn? What are the skills we're beating ourselves up over that we should have a little grace with? Well, people skills, obviously, our ability to listen, our ability to persuade, our ability to sell, public speak. Again, communication skills, people skills. I remember the first time I had to publicly speak, okay, the first impact that I ran, I was so nervous and I was so bad at it. I can't even show you how bad it was. Like, I was speaking while inhaling. I didn't want any dead airspace. So I'm talking, and even while I'm taking a breath, I'm still talking. Again, I don't know how I did that, but just so nervous, turning red in the face. Obviously, Jamie, give yourself a little grace. You'll get better at it with enough time. But you've got to get great at the people skills. There's no question about it. Just give yourself some grace. You have to get good at the recruiting skills. You have to know how to choose the right person. So that's a great question to explore. Who are the right people that we want to get on the bus? And then when I'm sitting in front of the right person, how do I get that right person on the bus? You've got to become competent as a recruiter. But again, I think the base of having great salesmanship, again, you're listening and you're persuasive and you can sell. I think that's a big part of recruiting, right? Like, Magic Johnson had to sell LeBron James on coming to LA. I mean, he's got a great skit. You can Google it and look it up. He's sitting on the driveway and he's rehearsing his pitch to get LeBron to come to Los Angeles. It does require some salesmanship to be able to do that. And you've got to get the training skills. I mean, it does take some practice to really learn how to build somebody's confidence. And it takes practice to figure out what are the right systems that I need to scale, right? If you want to scale your business, there has to be some systems, there has to be some non-negotiables. So again, we need skills. Entrepreneurial success requires skills. Just be patient, give yourself some grace, figure out exactly what those skills are, do them hundreds of times over. There's something called the 10,000 hour rule. I regurgitate this to my kids a lot. To become an expert at anything, it takes 10,000 hours. So put in the time. Tony Robbins says a lot, we get praised in public for what we practice in private. So do the practicing, get the skills, do it over and over and over again. Repetition is the motor of learning. Perseverance. Defined as this: doing something despite difficulty or delay, in achieving success. That is the definition of perseverance. Years ago, we were asking the question, like, are there any common denominators of the highest performing owners and consultants? Like, are there certain schools that they all go to? Are there certain things they're pursuing as far as degrees? Because if there are commonalities, well then, like if everybody happens to have a degree in communications, well, let's just hire people with that degree. Let's not waste our time with English majors or anything else. Like, let's take a good look at this. Let's do a deep dive. And so as we're doing a deep dive, man, we're all over the map. Men, women, black, white, young, old, school, no school, masters, bachelors, like, okay, there's nothing in common except one thing. They have persevered. They all have a story of how they went through crazy adversity and they just kept going. They stuck to it. They didn't quit. I love the Winston Churchill quote, when you're going through hell, don't stop to take a look around. Just keep going. Put your head down, keep going. You know, a great book that I read as a rookie owner, Forbes 20 Greatest Business Stories of All Time. They've even got them little yellow tabs on here, J.D. Rockefeller, Bill Gates, the list goes on. And so what's interesting is you read this book, or a series of books, like 20 little books within a larger book. The common denominator of all these people is, man, they went through crazy adversity, like crazier than normal. And maybe that's why they're the heavyweights that we look up to in business, is because they just went through crazy adversity and then came out on the other side as a giant. But you got to go through the adversity. You got to know how to stick. I love regurgitating this quote. No one ever quits their way to the top. You will just never meet that person. They don't quit their way to the top. You've got to persevere. Major ingredient to entrepreneurial success. And the final ingredient to Gary's recipe of entrepreneurial success is character. Like he said, you're not going to beat yourself up over the skills. Like, don't beat yourself up over the skills. Focus on your character, improve that character, grind that one out. And so I've been inspired to write a book. A book will be coming out in early 2025. And most of the book is focusing on really growing in character, like get the right character. So this one's near and dear to my heart. And I want to reference episode 56. The topic was nines. If we're looking to recruit the nines, exactly how do we define the nines? So this may look familiar if you've been to episode 56. It's like a document called Nines. I just want to read some of this. It even says on here, great character. This is the second bullet point on here. Great character. Trustworthiness. They trust others and they can be trusted. Honesty. Integrity. Their word is their bond. Persistent, determined, responsible, reliable, never gossip, self-accountable. The list goes on. But let's take the time to focus on growing in character. How do we treat other people? Are we honest all the time, or do we stretch things? Do we fib? Like, how do you roll? How are you interacting with others? And I really think if you put a major focus on this, I took this to heart when Gary was saying it to me 20 plus years ago, like, Jamie, get great character. And through the process, I built the business. And I found a terrific wife through the process too. So I do not regret putting big focus on character here. So thank you, Gary. Thank you for that great formula, again, of entrepreneurial success. Let's take this to heart. Let's get great at the skills. Again, let's not dismiss anything. Great at the perseverance and great at the character. And we should expect entrepreneurial success.